Good evening, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday night panel. We've got the panel ready and waiting to come on. Just a couple of things from me. Membership is open on our website. As you all know, or as people should know, we are not including all season ticket holders as automatic members this year. We have gone back to paid membership for people who actually want to join the OSC. We have given the first year free for anybody who was a member prior to us going to all season ticket holders. So the only thing you'll pay is postage if you want your card sent to you. Okay, so if there's any questions on that, please let us know. I've had lots of questions about, oh, are we still members if we're season ticket holders? So we're trying to get it out there that no, you're not, and you will apply, but we'll get it free if you were a member prior to us going to that option. Other thing, match day draw, as you know, it is our main source of income and allows us to do things in the community and at the club for the supporters. We have a subscription system, so you can pay £23, which will give you one ticket for every league game, home league game. You can buy multiples of 23. We will allocate you a number, or if you have a special number that you need. If it's free, then we can give you that one. And you can do that on our website as well. And just a message regarding Junior Reds. So this is a prompt from Caroline. Junior Reds, if you are a member, you'll be able to pick up your Junior Reds packs from the first home game of the season, which is the 22nd of August. And Talia, it's worth waiting for. So 22nd of August, you can start picking up your goodie bag for the new season. So let's bring Vic on. Oh, he's moved. There he is. There he is. Come on, Vic. Where are you?
Hello, I'm here. Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. It's like you'd moved in your sequence along the bottom. That's why. And I couldn't find you.
It's like celebrity squares. Okay? It's with celebrity squares without the celebrities. Yeah. There was some nice news over the weekend. I don't know if you saw it, but Stephen Darby and Steph Houghton are expecting their first child. And bearing in mind the things that they've been through in the last few years, that's wonderful news. And we send our very best wishes to them, of course. And we were delighted to be having the Derby Rumour Foundation as our charity of the year a couple of years back. So we had quite a good relationship with them. And so we wish them well, don't we? What a wonderful piece of news that was. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful. Absolutely.
I do have a piece of SAS news for Saturday. It's leaving the county ground at 12 o'clock. The cost is £15. So if you want to go via the SAS travel, they're leaving at 12 o'clock midday to get to Forest Green on Saturday, which is a 3 o'clock kickoff, as I understand it. So there we are. Looking forward to going to Deepest Darkest Gloucestershire. And for vegetarians, what a good day it is. That's all I can say.
Right, Karen, I'm just going to answer your question. If you mean these, the good old wall charts, that is this season's, okay? So they will be for members only. So that's another reason to actually get your application in to be a member of the OSC. You automatically get those. We will be limiting them because we threw so many away last year. We have really cut down how many we produced. So they'll be available to members on the first game of the season, home game of the season against Cheltenham. So yes, so there we go. Okay, so should we get the rest of the panel on?
Let's do that. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can discuss the Bristol City friendly tomorrow night against Leyton Orient, and then of course look ahead to Saturday as well at Forest Green. That's Mark, who appears out of the sun. Oh, he's gone in the shadow again. It brings back memories of Brian Kilcline some years ago when we had him on that boat. Yeah. Do you remember? And as the evening went on, he disappeared darker and darker and darker in this very sort of sinister way. It was an extraordinary experience. But there you go.
Bucket seat thing, which wicker seat, wasn't it? So, yeah.
Right, is that everybody?
Bless him. That's everybody. All right. So
I've
I
lost
will
Chris
see you later.
again.
All right. Okay. I'm here.
Me?
It's only you, I think, Vic.
Hello.
Hello, Vic.
Hear you. Yep.
Yeah, I can hear me. Okay, you can all hear me. Can you just thumbs up? That's lovely.
Yeah.
Brilliant. That's marvelous. Okay, Gus, it's lovely to have you along with us. We were desperate to have you on last Monday when you were on a road trip, some 2,000 miles, if I remember rightly. You briefly appeared in the front of your automobile, to use the correct American term, somewhere in the middle of America, but we couldn't quite get you on. Explain where you were.
Well, the correct term for me would be pickup truck, because that's what I was driving. I drove from Machu Picchu on the East Coast, right by the Atlantic Ocean, in Virginia, through Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois, and visited my 87-year-old mother. We had a fabulous time, took long walks, and had some great food, and just had a really nice time. And I was driving back, and I was right on the border of Ohio and West Virginia when I tried to call you, but the mountains there make it almost impossible. So I feared the worst, and the worst happened. But,
yeah, we briefly saw you, and we were looking forward to your travel report greatly, because it's a little different to the M5 and M4, to be honest with you. But I was very much looking forward to it. But it's great to have your company tonight. So thank you very much indeed for joining us. Mr. Hawes, we're very grateful to you because you went through something rather unpleasant this morning concerning your teeth. So we're very grateful to have your company.
Yes, no, I'm dentistically better, although that's not a word, but wallet lighter. But yes, I'm in.
I've lost
I'm
sound again
capable
for
of
some reason.
I'm capable of talking for an hour, even though that might be more difficult for you, Vic. It seems.
Oh, go on, Andrew. Speak again.
No. I was just saying. I survived my trip. My wallet is lighter, but my jaw is functioning, so I should be able to talk.
No, I've got. Can I hear you, Mark? Can you speak?
Yeah. Can you hear me, Vic?
Chris, you might have to come back in again if you're there, and I'll have to try and sort something out because I've lost sound completely. So I don't know if you're there, Chris. Are you there? I don't know what's going on here, but never mind. I'll try and unplug and plug again. So bear with me a minute. Technical D. We had this last week.
here comes Chris.
Hello, Chris, you there?
I'm here. Sorry. Yes, I'll just move back to my chair because I'm in front of the window again.
I can hear you, Gus, strangely. I can just hear you laugh. So,
Yep.
are you? Yeah,
you hear me?
Andrew.
I'm here.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, Andrew, can I hear you now?
I don't know.
No,
Hopefully
I
you
can't.
can.
Chris, take it away.
Okay.
I'll
So,
try
yeah,
and find
so
some
you
other way
were-
of doing this. I'll be back with you in a very
Okay.
short time.
So you had a lovely trip out to see your mother, did you, Gus?
I did.
We sort of think 20 miles is quite far to go and visit somebody. Yours was how many miles?
It was about 2,000 miles total, and coming home took me about 16 hours nonstop. So that's a decent road trip in the U.S., but not unheard of. And I actually got to watch the World Cup final with my my family, with my mom, sister, her husband, my nieces, and some sort of
Fabulous.
boyfriends and
Oh.
things like that. It was really nice. It was a terrible
Fantastic.
game, but it was fun to be with them.
But it was a nice occasion. It was a nice occasion.
And one of them is actually a soccer referee here in the U.S. At lower level.
Mhm.
And yeah, so it was really nice.
Ah, brilliant. Ah. So the rest of you, who was at to the game on Saturday? Were we all there? Oh, I knew Andrew was, and I know Phil
No.
was, and Mark. You
No,
weren't.
no, don't
No.
do friendlies.
You don't do friendlies.
No.
It was, I think, the best. Well, I don't mean the best thing of the day, but the pitch. My God! Shout out to Matt and his team. That pitch was absolutely. Oh, it's like a snooker table, wasn't it? You looked at it and it was marvelous. So well done to them. How are you doing, Vicky? You back with us?
Yeah, can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Marvellous. And I've misspelt my name, would you believe? Trying to my best to get on.
You're good.
I think you have a new name, Viv.
That's going to stick down, Viv.
So,
All
For
going
those-
well for you today. Right,
So,
I'll leave you. I'll stay close in case you need me.
Lovely. Thanks, Chris. For those of you who remember the Bonzo Dog Doodah band, they had the great Viv Stanshall as their lead singer many years ago. Wonderful. Right. Okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on with my internet, but it's been a nightmare for some time. But anyway, we'll sort it out. In deepest, darkest Devon, with the fields of brown, and we've had no rain for 23 years. But right, shall we get back to Bristol City then? Mark, did I get the tail end of that you didn't go on Saturday?
No, I didn't go, Vic. I've seen the goals. I knew we went up. I was actually having a retirement party around here, so it was much preferable to watching that. I'm not going to any friendlies this year. I've got my season ticket, and obviously part of discussion tonight will centre on how we all think we're going to do this year. And possibly what we might think of Mr. Morfuni's 5-year record as an owner, maybe. But I don't do friendlies. I should be going to Cardiff. We've got tickets for the League Cup game, possibly to Northampton. We'll see. And then obviously the season ticket kicks in with the first game against Cheltenham on the 22nd of August, doesn't it? So, yeah. And the friendlies all the friendlies seem to be doing is giving us, as a football club, huge headaches in terms of players getting injured and possibly been out for a while. Although I know Joel McGregor's injury was in training, and the latest obviously being Holman, which is a massive blow given the lad's promise. So I wonder what we're going to learn from friendlies. I wonder what we learn from tomorrow night. Not very much.
Yeah, Leighton Orient tomorrow night, of course, with Richie Wellens bringing his team to the Nigel Eady County Ground. Phil, you were there on Saturday.
Yep.
When Fletcher Holman went on that sprint and suddenly fell to the floor. We were all going, oh, not again. Because I think Mr. Holloway said afterwards that he and Drinnan would be the main strike force this season. Well, that's going to have to wait, isn't it?
A long time, I fear. But no, I was pleased to be at the friendly. I thought there was a lot of good things that took place on the pitch there. And I'd seen the Crystal Palace game the week before. And again, the first 60 minutes, Swindon played like they did at Palace, pressed very hard, very successfully. Once they got their rhythm, they were creating chances. And I felt when they took the lead, they deserved the lead against Bristol City. It's going to be a tough start to the season, but I think there are signs of hope there. There we are. I'm being positive. Mark's being negative. So,
we have balance. We have balance. I mean, I would say also that I don't know what Mr. Hawes' view of this was, but we should have been 2-0 up because for the life of me, Andrew, I don't know why Powell Glatzel's goal was ruled out for offside, because I thought he came in between two players to chip the ball over the keeper. I didn't think he was offside at all. What was your view?
No, I think my instinct at the time was he timed the run pretty well, although the flag went up pretty quickly. I'm probably going to end up sitting terribly on the fence between Phil and Mark. I think I agree with Phil that for the past couple of games we have sort of seen some of the ideas that they're going to try and implement this season kind of come across, and in terms of the pressing and some of the sort of switches of play from left to right and all that. The counter side is who are we going to have left to do it in 2 weeks' time, I'll say.
Well, Anthony said, when is Smith back? Do we have any news on that? What's the latest news on that?
They're very reluctant to kind of put a specific time on him. I think not to, to try and not put pressure on. He's there on Saturday, but I wouldn't say any time immediately. I don't think so. I don't think he's going to come sprinting to our rescue in the middle of August. I'd be delighted to be proved wrong, but I suspect not.
Yeah. Rich says they'll be wearing the new away kit tomorrow. I don't know if you can see it here, but I bought one on Saturday because I think it's rather nice, actually. So it's quite a decent one, and it sort of goes back to the blue and white stripes of some years ago, you might remember. I don't know if you, Gus, do you get pre-season games? I mean, in America, in sport, they go off to Florida or something, don't they? And have sort of long spring training camps and play matches out there. That's their kind of pre-season, isn't it?
That's in baseball, yeah.
Oh, I think we might have. Is everybody else lost him as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we got you. Yeah, we
I
got
don't know
you.
what happened. I'm so sorry. Yeah, I tried desperately to watch some of the games and have not been able to figure out a way to do that. I can do it on iFollow for the regular games starting next month. But one thing that has occurred to me, and I've listened to all of Coach Holloway's interviews, the amount of injuries that are happening would appall an American football team. Like there is a huge movement in the last decade to start the season with everybody on your team healthy. You know, the idea is it's a lot better to have gone through some alternative tackling and, you know, not have run yourself to exhaustion over and over and getting all these injuries and then start the season without your people. So I'm just shocked. And the things that I've heard out of Coach Holloway, still like the guy, but you know, last Tuesday, he ran them to exhaustion. Some of them were, quote, down and out. You know, he basically tells them, you're not going to play unless you collapse on the field in front of me. I mean, it literally almost says that. And guess what happens? They get hurt. It doesn't make any sense. You know, there are alternative ways to do tackle. I remember Prince Will, I think it was Prince Will, got hurt last year. No, it was Michael Olakigbe. Got hurt last year. In practice, he got tackled. And I thought you should never get hurt getting tackled in practice. That is, you're just giving the other team the win when you do things like that. So anyway, when I hear about all these injuries, I'm thinking, you got to be better than that. You know, you're sabotaging your season before it even starts by doing this.
Well, Andrew, what's he said about the injuries? Because it just seemed, I mean, I'll go through the starting 11 on Saturday, and this is what I read out about 20 minutes before the game. Lewis Ward, Mitch Clark, Philadelphia Mabete, James Ball, Tom Nichols, Powell Glatzel, Fletcher Holman, James DeBeo, Ben Middlemass, the captain Aaron Drinan, and then Billy Kirkman. And then lo and behold, James Ball doesn't appear. And the number 33 turns out, who is trialist B. You might have a bit more information about that, but I thought he did rather well. But James Ball we lost in the pre-match kick-in.
Yeah, so that was another kind of precautionary hamstring thing. But you know, I did ask him about the number of hamstring injuries afterwards, and he was just kind of, no, that's not exactly that's how it is. But for a man who can elaborate a lot, he was very unwilling to elaborate on the number of hamstring injuries that put up. But over this season and last, it feels impossible to deny there's some sort of pattern there at the moment, whether it's the training ground, the workload, or something like that. It feels like it's at a point where it can't entirely be coincidence or bad luck. I suppose the counter argument to what Gus was saying a bit earlier was kind of, there are quite a lot of coaches who always demand you train as you play, so you have to kind of go at it with that intensity. So sometimes you know, you'll get those tackles and people will get hurt in training. Do you need to be doing that at this stage again? That's another point open to debate. But the injury thing is just looking too much like a pattern at the moment for it not to kind of demand further scrutiny, I think.
Yeah, there's a little light-hearted comment on here somewhere. This is from Kevin. Town players get injured blowing their nose these days. I mean, I don't know, Mark. I mean, we see hamstring injuries all the time, and you know, those of us who run, I don't know if you've ever had a hamstring injury, but they go at the most inconvenient moment, don't they?
Yeah. Nothing you can do about it. And you're out.
No.
If it's grade one, you're probably out for 3 weeks. But we're led to believe that Fletcher Holman's is rather worse than that, which is terrible news. I mean, I think the thing that you have to do surely is to look at your training methods. You know, like Andrew said, if you have hamstring injury after hamstring injury, it's no coincidence, surely. So you must look at it. I mean, all of us will remember, well, maybe Gus won't, but all of us will remember the Lou Macari years when, of course, those players were super fit. And I'm sure Lou used to hammer the players into the ground to make sure that they were. And it was no accident that we were winning games, you know, often in the last 10 or 15 minutes because those players were super fit. But I don't recall them going down with loads and loads of hamstring injuries like the players in this round. And, you know, it's disrupting the team hugely. It's making a massive difference. I disagree with Gus slightly in the sense that I think training has to be competitive. And unfortunately, so we're led to believe with John McGregor, his ankle injury came about as I think, if I'm right in saying this, from a ball that struck his ankle. There's not much you can do about that, really, I don't think. But in terms of the hamstring injuries, you've got to look at that in the same way that if you're a manager, you have to look at your managing methods, especially when we had 3 wins in 13 in the last 13 games of last season, 1 win in 7 and no wins in the last 4. You have to look at that and stop blaming the players. You have to look at yourself in the same way that as a teacher, I wouldn't blame the students in my class if they misbehaved. I'll be looking at what I'm doing that makes my lessons not very engaging, not very interesting. So I think he's got to take a long look at himself. He's 64 years old. He needs to learn some lessons. He needs to learn about how to, communicate with people. You don't need to shout at people all the time. You can tell them constructively what they need to do. You also need to coach them from the sidelines, which was a conversation we were having before we came on air. If the players have a lost and bewildered look, it's down to you to tell them what you want them to do in a simpler way as possible. Don't try to overcomplicate it. Just tell them what you want them to do on the pitch so that they are clear.
The counter argument to that, of course, would be that he would say he does, and they don't do what he says they do. So
does he? They were very confused at the end of last season, weren't they? We all saw that. Some of them didn't know what day of the week it was, let alone where they were playing and what they were supposed to be doing. So I would dispute that, Vic. I would say that they need guidance and they need support, especially the younger ones. Just tell them what you want them to do, where you want them to be. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it, but also have a plan B and, if necessary, a plan C if plan A isn't going well. That is the job of the coach.
I think we were all confused at the end of last season, to be honest, Mark, weren't we? Let me see. Hi, John. To draw another parallel with the cricket. Oh, he's going on about the cricket. This is this week. Firstly, I get thrown out of the People's Front because I'm apparently a splitter, and now I find out I'm out of the OSC. Can the day get any worse? No, John, you can actually rejoin. It's not a problem. Let's have a look. More of the comments coming in. Hi, Craig. Sorry I missed Saturday. I was watching Edelwood play their first ever game in the West of Scotland League Division 4. Lovely and all that, but not Swindon Town. Hoping to be back for the Cheltenham game. Be good to see you, Craig. Friendly find out players that are not fit enough, says John. Hi, Peter. Nice to see Carol and Vic on Saturday for the first time. Me and my son are usually in the Don Rogers. Wasn't close enough to say hello. It looked quite hot out there on the pitch. It was, trust me. I'm getting Trollop 3 printed on the back of my new away shirt, expecting it to arrive in the post this week. Oh, here's a good one for you, Phil. Do you think Holloway will still be here by Christmas? I mean, I don't know. What's your view on that? I've seen many comments on social media, but obviously there's only 2 people who know the answer to that, isn't there?
But, it all depends how he starts the season, doesn't it? When you've had a bad end of season, if you start the new season badly, the pressure builds, and Mr. Mulrooney may well feel the pressure even in Australia to say your time is up. The good news is Mr. Lindsay's tied up at York, so it won't be him coming in. Just going back to their injuries, last year the club was slagged off for the poor quality of the pre-season friendlies. This season, they've gone for much higher level friendlies, and I think it's been the right decision. Certainly, the Palace game and Saturday, it was a real good workout for them, and the younger players the youth players that get on there, for them to be exposed to that sort of level was important. But and the injuries. Going back for a few years now, pre-Holloway, we've had a long series for 4 or 5 years of injuries. And you keep thinking, why doesn't it happen to other clubs? So I can't blame Mr. Holloway for everything about injuries. It's been endemic in the club for a number of seasons now.
Well, that point's just been made by Craig. He says it's not the first time we've picked up these type of injuries at this time of year. Is this due to costs being cut, or the physio side or training regime? I mean, in American football, Gus, sprinting is all, isn't it? I mean, let's be honest. You got a quarterback who throws the ball to a running back who then shifts at top gear down the field and does a quick, 100 meters in about 4.6 seconds, but they have to move pretty quick. Do they get a fair share of hamstring injuries?
Well, let me answer that right after I commend you on your shirt, Vic. I could originally see the Wrigley Field shirt. That is the baseball stadium where the Chicago Cubs play. It's one of the oldest stadiums in the country. It's absolutely beautiful. I grew up about 20 miles away from it. So thank you for repping a Chicago sports team there.
Well, it's great to go there and actually be there. I mean, it's a magnificent venue. If you ever get to Chicago, you must go see the Cubs play. It's great stuff. Thank you.
Regarding speed and injuries, injuries happen, of course. I mean, American football is a very, very violent sport. Hamstring injuries are not super often happen. I mean, they do, but they play on fake turf, AstroTurf a lot of times, which does cause injuries. It's very problematic. But I have a problem with all the injuries, but at the same time, I'm not losing my mind about what's going on right now. It's preseason. We've got a whole season in front of us. And it occurred to me earlier today while I was thinking about coming on, we actually played a season recently in the last 2 years. We should have been promoted. Unfortunately, it was the last half of 2025 and the first half of the 2025-26 season. We had a really good end and a really good beginning. They just didn't happen to be in the same season. We could do it. We could do it if we just have to string it together. The question, I think I've mentioned this before. I have an old friend whose name I'll say because he's just recently died, Joe Spagnuolo. He used to say, does he have 30 years of experience or 1 year of experience 30 times? Has he learned anything? Is he improving? Does he get better? And does he bring in new information and then do things differently? I'm going to have to assume he does. I mean, given the position that he's in. So I think we just need to wait. The last point I want to make on this is it's very easy to look at our team and think, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. So-and-so's injured. Every team has that. Every team has that. They may not have exactly the same thing, but every group of fans is looking at their team thinking, oh my gosh, I can't believe this has happened, or why didn't we get that person, or so-and-so has left. We'll just have to see when it shakes out. Are all the negatives that we perceive as bad as the negatives that other teams have? And, can we come together as a team, hopefully, and overcome them?
We'll only know that, of course, when the real action starts. To go back to your point about not getting them in the right order, it reminds me of the great Eric Morecambe's quote when he was talking to Andre Previn, the great composer and pianist, when he said, you're playing all the right notes, but not necessarily in the right order, which seems a fair comment to me. Andrew, what's your take on this? I'm just looking at a couple of comments, which I'll get to. Anthony says, what about warm-ups before the game? Well, in the old days, they just used to come up at 10-3, kick a few balls about, and then go out and play football. I mean, they warm up to the nth degree, don't they?
Yeah, I mean that's clearly much more scientific than it was. And I guess at least if James Ward is going to go out, better he goes out as a precaution in the warm up than actually does something in the first opening minutes of the game. I guess they've got a new physio in, the same sort of sports scientist is there, so they've got some kind of continuity from last season in terms of that. I think Ian Holloway's just going to do it his way this time, and perhaps I don't think he felt, especially at the end of last season, that he was doing it entirely his way. The kind of messages between him and Marcus Bignot got a bit kind of scrambled. So I think we're going to get the purest form of Holloway yet.
Do we know the reason for Marcus Bignot's departure? Is there a definitive answer to that?
I don't think there's been an official explanation, but they did. I think there was just a point where they weren't seeing quite so much eye to eye about how they wanted things to go. I think so. I'm not saying there was any great dramatic blow up or throwing of teacups or anything, but I think they were just in different places by the end of last season.
Fair enough. Ian Holloway needs an attitude adjustment, says Glenn. Anthony says Holloway is Teflon with Clem. He's basically running everything football-wise and likes to shout at fans whilst defending the Australian plumber. I mean, I know you want to have your say, Mark, so why don't you do that? I mean, the point is, is Ian Holloway ever going to change? I mean, here we are. He's an old school manager. Do we have to accept that?
Yeah, I think we do to a degree, don't we? I mean, let's face it, when he came in November, December 2024, and saved us, didn't he, from relegation? I think everybody would applaud him, myself included. It was a fantastic show. I want to give the man credit. He saved us and got us to 12th place when we looked dead and buried, didn't we? We were bottom of the table after the Colchester game, and the guy came in, and we just played, really, really well. We got to 62 points, and he saved us. And then obviously the start of last season was extremely positive, round about to January and February. I can't help thinking that the Luton debacle was a real turning point in the club's season. It was an absolute shambles, the whole thing. And unfortunately, he didn't blame himself, which he should have done. He blamed other people. And again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier on. You have to take responsibility for yourself. People respect you if you apologise and say, I got that wrong. And I think he did get that wrong. He's got other things wrong as well. Can he learn, which is Gus's point, can he bring other information on board and impart it to the players? You'd hope so. He tells us he's had over 1,000 games managerial experience, and that's absolutely relevant. But I could be teaching for 38 years, which I was, until I retired, but it doesn't make me a good teacher. I could be a crap teacher. I don't think I was, but, it doesn't necessarily mean you're good if you've got the experience. In terms of your question about the reign of the current owner, 5 years in, where are we? So he said, judge me in 5 years. So I'm judging the football club after 5 years. We're in the same division. We've now been in this division for 5 years running. We've been in this division, League Two, for 9 out of the last 10 seasons. Most people, myself included, won't accept that. We're not a League Two team. We should have ambitions for the top 10 of League One and be pushing for the Championship. The ground is nowhere. We're still in a ground that hasn't had anything done to it since 1994. I know people could say, we've looked at executive boxes and people threw that out, but I want to see a definite plan for the whole ground, not something that's just piecemeal. I want to know that in 5, 6, 8 years' time, the ground that I've attended for 52 years is going to look rather different to the ground it does now. I don't have confidence that will happen. Training ground, we still haven't got one. So after 5 years, what could we say? It's not been a success. True, we still have a football club to support, but is that the limit of people's ambitions? It isn't mine.
Well, we are. I still go back to the fact that there's a whole generation of Town fans who don't know anything else but League Two, which, bearing in mind when I was growing up, it was always third division, and that's
last in the Championship 26 years ago.
Yeah,
for
and
a town the size of Swindon, that's appalling.
And the last time we were in the third division, of course, Richie Wellens got us there, who comes back to the county ground tomorrow. So it's been a long time, and I hate to say this, but we are what you call an established League Two team. Is that fair to say?
We're languishing, aren't we? We're languishing in League Two, the bottom professional league in the pyramid, and that looks to more and more like our rightful place. But do we accept that? Do we just say, oh yeah, that's where we're going to be, and that's where we're always going to be? Well, no, I don't think we can. I don't think we can. We've seen this football club in the Premier League. Granted, over 33 years ago now, but we must have ambitions to be better than we are, surely, in terms of off the pitch and on it. Surely that's the whole point of being a supporter, isn't it? Not just to accept mediocrity and, just languishing somewhere.
Well, always open to debate this, and I think it's no secret. I'm fed up with League Two. I'm bored to death with it, quite frankly. But you still go and support your team, don't you? Because that's what you do. But I want to go to new places. We've never been to Derby's baseball ground, for goodness' sake. Not baseball ground, the Pride Park, which is extraordinary. The amount of time that's been opened, incredible. Hi, Colin. Liverpool currently have of their 8 first-team squad out injured. Joe Gomez lasted 8 minutes at the weekend. Defensive options are very thin. Who's going to be the match-winning August to January loan player? Ooh, Phil. We don't know yet, do we?
No. And I put in my notes preparing for tonight, we need at least 3 additional players to come in. and I would like to think those three will be experienced players, and then you put your loans on top of that, and they've got to find it. But going back to Mark and the chairman, I agree with a lot of his sentiments there, but the big question is, how do you get rid of a chairman and where do you get another chairman? Having grown up through Exeter City's turmoils, when we virtually went out of existence, the fans got off their backside and saved the club. Swindon fans are quick to mouth off. I want to see them action, that they go out and find a chairman or go and find funds to take over.
Well,
what
Kevin,
way is there?
Kevin says we need a rich owner. Have you got one, Mark? I mean, this is a problem, isn't it? I mean,
It'd be nice to think there is. Do you think there are people out there though, Phil? Because I do. I think there are people out there. I think there are people out there been sniffing around, but I think they've been put off by probably the asking price and by what they see.
Yeah, but that's always negotiable. And Morfuni, he's not going to want to hang on if he gets a reasonable deal there. With all the flack he's getting, all these problems in Australia and so on, I'm sure that if the right person came along, he would quickly take the money and go back to Australia.
But what money would he take, Phil? Because it's alleged that he's put in £12 million into the football club. The current debt is £12 million to him. So would he want to recoup all of that money? Because that isn't a realistic asking price for a club that's probably only worth about half that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Would he take that money? Would he take $6 million?
All deals have give and take in it. And he's got to work out to get out how much he would be going to take. Because if he doesn't, he's going to have even more debts to face up to.
Yeah.
So it is finding the sort of person who will come and take it. Cheltenham, they got a good new chairman in there. He was available. But he went to Cheltenham and not Swindon.
Gus, I'm bound to ask you, bearing in mind the Wrexham are touring America at the minute, aren't they? They're playing in Florida and exotic places. Have you got a rich American multi-millionaire in your back pocket?
I'd probably be hanging out with them right now if I did, instead of talking to you, Vic. I'm sorry, but so that'll answer your question right there.
Oh dear me, that right to the heart, that one.
I wish. No, I value this time highly with you, Vic.
Oh no, but I mean, if you were the multi-millionaire, right, and thought, I want to invest in a football club, what would attract you to Swindon Town? And obviously, they saw a Canadian and American, I should say, saw a great deal of attraction in Wrexham, so they went there. So what would you find in Swindon?
Well, I think first of all, I really enjoyed going to the game last New Year's Day. Swindon's a beautiful stadium, a lovely field. It was a fun game, a really great atmosphere. There were almost 10,000 people there. It was really good. I think in a bigger sense, though, the question I'd ask is what would attract anyone to buy an EFL 2 team? Any team. I mean, is it a profitable thing? I mean, is it just that you have so much money, you don't know what to do with it all, and so you think it would be fun? But there are lots and lots of examples where it's not really fun, right? For the owners. I mean, they get excoriated when they lose. It's like, such a negative proposition. I guess there's a big payoff if you get in, if you can move up a couple of leagues. Do they make money? I don't know how the economics works.
It's a big hole, Gus. You go and dig a hole in your garden, put your money in it, and that's pretty much it, I would say.
I'd take that bit, if you don't mind. I know I spoke a few minutes ago, but in terms of Wrexham, I think there's a lot of vitriol from some fans aimed at Wrexham and what those two guys from America have done. I'm going to give you the counter argument. I went to the Wrexham Swindon game a couple of years ago, that crazy 5 each game.
Yeah.
And the thing that struck me when I went around Wrexham was how much that money, that Hollywood money, and those two guys have absolutely transformed not just the football club, but the town. The town was absolutely buzzing with football. There was hardly a Man United or Liverpool shirt in sight. Whereas you'd have gone back 3 or 4 years ago when Wrexham were in the doldrums, and they had nothing. Their gates were down to 1,500. They've been languishing in the National League for 15 years. So those two guys came in, and they had money and they pumped it into the football club, but fair play to them. Why shouldn't they? And it's transformed not only the football club, but the town. So, I get what you're saying, Gus. I get the fact that, there aren't people out there. And why would you want to take on a League Two football club? But if you're going to take one on, then Swindon Town surely has to be a really good bet in terms of the catchment, the potential support, the stadium, and the ability to redevelop it. It's a sleeping giant. I know that's an old cliche, but it really is. But the trouble is, it's been a sleeping giant now for 20 or 25 years. And I'm getting sick and tired of it. I want us to leap up. I want us to, take ownership of it and really go up the leagues and be a recognised and established championship team. I'm 60 years old. I want it to happen before I peg it. Right?
Well,
Mark,
I'm 70 years old. I've got 10 years on you.
just to be clear, Mark, I was asking truly rhetorically. I was saying, why would you do it? You're helping answer the question. I wasn't saying,
you're
I
right,
wasn't saying Swindon isn't worth it. No one should do it. I truly am curious. And that's, boy, if
you've got to be a bit of a nut job to do it, haven't you? I mean, that's the honest answer to it. To buy a League Two football club, you've got to be a bit nuts. But at the same time, I'm sure there are people out there, and ideally, you'd like to think there are Swindon fans out there that could come together in some sort of consortium to take it off the current owner. But maybe that's a pipe dream. Maybe I'm just an idealist. Maybe I am. And maybe the truth of it is we're going to be stuck with this for the next 10, 15, 20 years. God help us.
Yeah, well, yeah, as I say, I'm 70, so I don't particularly want that. Thanks very much.
The businesses of Swindon have never got behind the club.
That again, Phil.
The business of Swindon, Honda never showed any interest. Zurich have shown no interest.
Well, I suppose under Lou Macari they did, didn't they? We had Lance Lambert who came in. And
well, they were the company that transformed it, really, because they came in for the investment. For a top-class player manager. Then it turned out to be Lou Macari, whose playing days, of course, were relatively short. But, in terms of management, he did transform the club. Mr. Hawes, you're at the wheel here. You're the one with the nose to the grindstone trying to find things out. What is the situation, really, ownership?
Blimey. Where do we start? Where do we start? I think there are people periodically buzzing around, but it does come. It feels like it comes back to that point of the size of debt and how much Morfuni would want to recoup if he sells. Certainly, I get the impression that is a bit of a kind of sticking point at the moment in terms of a sort of valuation. He still keeps coming over. He still keeps seemingly willing to put X million in a year to keep us afloat and take the flat that comes his way. But there is something that's got to give here in that. I think they need to try and show people more a sense of direction of what the idea and the methods are they're going to take the club forward. I mean, we've obviously, there has been that degree of ground redevelopment, but that's rejected. I think when I've sat down and had my longer interviews with him, that's always the thing I've found the hardest to really try and get out of him. It's like there are obviously the aspirations to do better, but it's what's the strategy to bring those aspirations to life, I suppose. And if there was something more visible there, people might be able to buy into it, I think. But we are historically speaking, certainly in a period of stagnation, as Mark says. The vast majority of our history is in the league above, and normally kind of pinballing around between Division 3 and occasionally Division 2, and then obviously having our one miracle season hobnobbing it with all the big boys. But yeah, I think that's my kind of thing on the ownership. Is it's a bit more for them to try and show that perhaps public leadership than I'd argue they've done so far.
Lots of comments coming in. Thank you very much indeed. Hi, Trevor. Are we allowed to discuss the Alicante punch? I was there, but nothing official. It was assault, in my opinion. I don't know. I mean, if that's the red card incident, I wasn't there. I can't comment on that. So if you have further details, it's up to you to do whether you want to use them or not. Continuation of issues with injuries is a symptom of constant cloth cutting and the lack of investment. It also does raise a question in my mind about the duty of care the club have in terms of player welfare. Hi, Adrian. Evening all. Calling Taffy's Paul McGrath is like calling Brett Pittman to Pele. Paul McGrath, by the way, Gus, a famous Irish international footballer, Manchester United and Aston Villa, never used to train, basically, because he had really dodgy knees. He just used to play every week, and he was always a magnificent defender. And so he just used to turn up, play, and that was the end of it. So there we are. Hi, Alan. The way we fell away from Easter onwards last season was absolutely dreadful. Not to make the end of season playoffs from such a great position was extremely poor and in truth unacceptable. Not finding another assistant manager with new ideas and a new voice and then promoting Gunning indicates a club with a lack of ambition and funding. It's a worrying time. Colin says Wrexham are budgeting on spending 70 million on their new 7,750-seater cop stand. Redevelopment of the entire Nigel Eady County ground is pie in the sky thinking. Look at Welland's promotion-winning team. We've not had any players in the last 5 years who get in that team. Munro, maybe. The club has been in an owner-induced coma for too long, says Jason. Maybe the current owner is pricing Swindon at a price their buyers think isn't worth their value, says Mark. Not long ago, Brighton was playing in front of 6,000 fans at the Withdean. Now look at them. Anything is possible, says Stephen, and at a stadium 70 miles away, says Mark. Where did Brighton play? Did they play at Gillingham? My God,
Yeah, Gillingham for a season, and then at the
Greyhound
Withdean
Stadium.
Athletics track.
Yeah, the old athletics track. Let's not go back to that wet Thursday.
No, we don't want to mention that.
No. Don't want to. No, let's not mention that Thursday. Right, so we've got friendlies to come. Let's get on to that. We've got Leyton Orient tomorrow night, and then of course we're off to deepest Gloucestershire on Saturday for Forest Green Rovers. I don't know if anybody's seen their new away kit for Forest Green, but take your sunglasses is all I could say. What are your thoughts? By the way, Mark, I haven't congratulated you on your retirement. I don't know if they did at the beginning, but congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome to the retirement club. Good.
Yeah, I've got more time to focus on STFC now. I'm not sure if that's a good thing or not, really.
I was going to say, yes. Well done. Congratulations after a great career. So very well done. Right. Let's have a look. Matt Taylor says, we all saw the training quotes, didn't we? Running them into the ground to the point of exhaustion and suffering last week, and then surprise. Right. Away home to Leyton Orient tomorrow night, 7:45 kickoff. Forest Green Rovers on Saturday. What do you think we want out of that? Results are kind of irrelevant, aren't they, at this time of the season, Mark? What do you want to see out of that?
I don't know, to a degree. I mean, results are irrelevant, and I take what Holloway said. You know, you can have all the victories in the world pre-season, but going into it, and it doesn't really matter. Having said that, if you then lose the next two, which would mean you've lost 5 on the bounce in pre-season, you don't go into the Cardiff game feeling particularly confident, particularly if you haven't got a decent enough or size squad. So I think, you know, you'd like to think we could get one win out of the two, and it can be positive. But can we put a team on the pitch? You know, Gus said everything will come together. We're 10 days away from the first competitive football match of the new season, and I would argue, Phil said 3 players, experienced players. We're not going to get those. We all know that won't happen. We might get some low knees, but I'm looking at the defensive situation for one. I'm struggling to think if Mabete's out. Tafazoli's not really regular. New guy's in, isn't he? So how many fit centre backs have we got when he wants to play a 3 in there? We've got a right back. I don't think we've got a right back with John McGregor out for potentially 8 weeks. And then Holman being out, we've got Drinan and Glatzel. We haven't really discussed the Palmer situation, have we, tonight? But I think we ought to. You've got a guy who allegedly is one of the top earners in League Two. Is he cutting the mustard for the fans? 100% not. Is he fit? Well, he wasn't fit at the end of last season. What's his role? Is he a Swindon Town Football Club player, or is he at Wrexham in some kind of advisory role? Not really sure. And I'm surprised if it is the latter. The guy is contracted to play football for Swindon Town, and he should be playing for Swindon Town, and he should be giving it 100%. And I don't know whether he could go and his wages freed up to find a couple of other players, because we certainly need them. That would be my view.
Well, trialist B on the Saturday. You're not supposed to know the identity of these players, Phil, but I think we all know the identity of trialist B, don't we? You've been
Johnny Williams.
Yeah, it might be.
Mr. Horsley would be praying he doesn't sign, I think, with the name he's got to pronounce there.
Oh, no, well, that's
the
try this
Mr.
day, isn't it?
Yes, the Mr. Australian
Yes.
does appear to be a bit of a mouthful, but
Yeah.
we'll be fine. If we can do Prince Walahi we can
Yeah.
eventually
As
do
you-
it well with enough practice.
As was said last year, a man of many syllables. But Johnny Williams, what's your view on that?
No. But having seen him at Gillingham since he left us, and the Gillingham fans didn't like him, he's completely lost it. And Saturday, you could see him desperately trying to get involved, but he was just not anywhere in it. The player I'm looking out for is Middlemass.
Hmm.
There are glimpses again on Saturday that Chesterfield may not have been flash in a pan. I just think he may well prove to be a key player this season. And, again, it will be a test of Holloway, how he blends him in and uses him, because he's got pace, he's got strength, and he can shoot. And I think he would need to be encouraged to shoot whenever he gets within 20 yards or so, because we tend to be shy of shooting. But he is one that I am looking for this season that could well be key to our fortunes.
Yeah, I think he looks decent, doesn't he? I mean, he's a very young player, obviously, but there is something definitely there. And
The one that couldn't make out on Saturday was DeBale.
yeah. Sorry, say it again.
What I couldn't make out on Saturday was DeBale, because he's trying to turn him from a central defender into a midfielder, isn't he?
Yeah, well, I suppose with the dearth of defenders, he'd have to. I like Mitch Clark, by the way. I think he looks a solid footballer. He looks very good indeed. I don't know.
As well.
Yeah, I don't know. You're following this, Gus, because obviously you can't see the friendlies over there, can you? So you're going to have to judge it when it all kicks off a week on Saturday. Goodness me, is that all? From what you've heard, though, and what you've read and what you've seen, because I know you follow all the social media stuff and all that kind of thing. How would you say they are? What shape is everything in?
Well, I may have come off as seeming a little negative, and I'm because of the injuries and things like that. And if I did, I really don't entirely mean it. As your famous English poet Alexander Pope once wrote, "Hope springs eternal," and we can. There's new grass on the field. It's the new season. Who knows? Maybe let me just put the best possible face on it. Maybe all the injuries are going to, by attrition, get us one darn team that goes out on the field every week instead of having a totally different team every week. Maybe the same guys will get to play a few times and figure out how to work together. Remember last year that was a big problem. Yeah. You'd see Phil Mabete have an awesome game, score a goal, play defense, then you wouldn't see him for 3 games.
Yeah.
And the thing that I didn't like about that, because obviously I'm an expert, I've been doing this for so long. The thing I didn't like about that, I forgot what I was going to say.
It's all right.
I didn't like that I'm losing my mind. I'm also 60, Mark, so I'm it's hard for me to remember things.
Well, I tell you, this is what being a Swindon supporter does to you, Gus. Welcome to the club. That's all I can say.
Well,
I would go on.
Hope springs eternal is my. Let's give it a chance. Let's go into these games. The first real games with a positive mindset, and let's see what we can do.
Yeah, well, I always go back, Andrew, to Di Canio. He struck very lucky through injuries, and then having to put a team out that was very consistent in the selection. And also, you go back to 1990 and Bobby Robson's England team. He had to change the team because of injury, and look what happened to them. They got to the semi-final of the World Cup. So sometimes it does happen.
It can do, yeah. I think there's kind of Di Canio team 1.0, isn't there? And there's with Komatsu and all that lot. And then there's Di Canio team 2.0. So you can get a bit of luck. Obviously, you also got to bring about almost 40 players in a season, which you can't really do now. For the next couple of games, hopefully we see more of the good stuff that I think we have seen in the Palace and the Bristol City games. the bit pressing and the movement. And Middlemass has looked quite good as well. So I think I'll add a cautious thing. I think if I'd been painting an optimistic picture, you could have said a full season of Middlemass and Holman, and you add that to the core of the squad we had last season, and maybe there's something there. But we're obviously going to lose Holman for a bit. So for the next 2 games, I suppose no more injuries and more sort of patterns of play, please. And maybe Johnny Williams will surprise Phil with a bit of luck.
Well, he's playing tomorrow apparently, so we'll see. The trouble is with a pesky hamstring, Mark. In the back of your mind, you're never sure when it's going to go pop again, are you? And is that awful? It feels like a gunshot going off in the back of your leg. It's horrible.
It is horrible. I mean, the good thing, when I ever had a hamstring, I never had any pace anyway, so it never bothered me when I was playing football on a Sunday. And I could recover within 3 or 4 weeks and get back to things. But some of these guys, Fletcher Holman's electric, isn't he? With his pace, and he can run past people for fun. So it's a really big blow. I do like what Gus said in terms of, trying to be positive and hope springs eternal. I should know Pope's quote. I haven't been an English teacher for so long. But I suppose the other thing about hope is it's the hope that gets you, isn't it?
It's always. Yeah.
We've got that too. But I think you're right, Gus. I think we have to try to go into the new season with optimism and see how it goes for the first 5 to 10 games, not be too quick to judge. But I think I'd also have to say that given the end of last season, if we don't start very well and we find ourselves, that word again, languishing down towards the bottom after 10 games, the pressure is going to be on. I think Swindon fans are fantastic generally, but they can be quick to turn. And you can forgive them, can't you, when you think how spectacularly we blew it at the end of last season. We did blow it. It was a spectacular failure, as I said on one of these panels before, that we didn't even get into the playoffs. And we finished, folks, 9th. I'll say that again, 9th. That was a failure given where we were in February and even where we were with 4 games to go. We didn't win one of the last 4 games. So, we have to acknowledge that. And as Phil rightly said, if you go into the new season and the start of the new season as bad as the end of the previous season, then you're in trouble and you're under pressure. So we have to hope that we start really well. Cardiff looks possibly a game too much, given the fact that they've just gone up. Northampton won't be easy. Then you have to hope that perhaps we can get off the mark against Cheltenham. We'll see.
I would say 2 players from Bristol City on Saturday. Laurent Toulai, who loves scoring against Swindon, of course. Older shot. And I think Port Vale in the past as well. But comes on, first touch, bang, one each. And then gets another after a few million quid spent by Bristol City to get him from Plymouth Argyle, where he got that memorable penalty against Liverpool, you might remember. And Scott Twine, Phil, who gave one glorious pass to the touchline, which was...
I was just going to say, I hardly noticed him.
There was a wonderful ball. He just played it out, and it went straight out of play. And it was such a humorous moment.
The Liverpool lost, I thought, on Saturday.
Yeah,
and he was really struggling there at all. A word about the goalkeeping position. I was interested in he played Ward the whole game on Saturday, and I just wonder whether that is to put a bit of pressure on Ripley. Against Palace, Ripley did not look to be with it. Whether this is he'd been training up north again and not down south, which he did for most of the last season, didn't he? But I just thought he may change keepers at some stage on Saturday, and he gave Ward the whole game. So I just wonder if there's a lot of competition going on there.
Well, it's not a bad thing, is it, to have competition for places? That's fair enough. By the way, Kevin says, Gus, will Gus be town manager? Do you fancy it?
No, you want to win at least 1 game this year. You don't want me as town manager.
Well, you've got a lot of fans, I tell you. They all, you'd be quite popular if you did. It's a bit of a commute, though, to be fair, isn't it? I mean,
I'd live in Swindon for a season. It'd be fun. Yeah. Be a lot
well, there you go.
I was just thinking last year at this time, Coach Holloway said something that I'd never heard. He was saying, rack him and stack him. We're going to rack him and stack him over and over and over again. I wonder what happened to that. I wonder
Yeah.
if the manager said there's going to be no racking and stacking. We don't have a budget for that.
Not
you know?
enough strikers to rack him, let alone rack him and stuff.
Oh, and I did remember what I was going to say before. I think one of the reasons that we saw so many different lineups so frequently last year is Coach Holloway was trying to be very clever and was always changing our lineup depending on the other team. He was trying to match up the other team.
Yeah.
Why don't they match up to us? We put our best players out there and play the darn game. Stop
Yeah.
worrying about, stop putting somebody like, you're like, why are they putting that guy in? He's never played before because there's some genius move. Just put our best players in and let's see if we can win. And then sub some people in the second half. I don't know. That's just that. If I were the coach, is there a movement starting?
Well, there's a movement of one tonight, and you know what it means.
Don't do
It's
it.
always first step outside the front door is always the most difficult. So there you go. Another one I'd mention from Saturday, Andrew, Jamie Knight-Labelle, who looked his usual. He looked very comfortable, didn't he? And you would expect him to feature in the City lineup this season.
Yeah, I would be surprised if he's not in and around it, given he's had sort of 2 loan spells at League Two now. I can't imagine they want him to go out to that level yet again. The other thing about Bristol City is I think you kind of see Premier League players against League Two players, and you see that kind of physical mismatch.
Yeah,
that was a big
absolutely.
one. I mean, even Scott Twine looked fairly bulky, which is not something we could have said in the past. But yeah, that kind of physical gap was quite.
Well, I noticed
quite
their
prevalent,
numbers.
I think.
Their number 3 when he came on in the second half, he was massive. I mean, he wasn't particularly tall, but he could go up against Tyson Fury. Quite frankly, a lot of them could, couldn't they?
Yeah, there was 1 or 2 midfielders in there I wouldn't be picking any arguments with, but yeah, I think that's just how football's going, isn't it? The kind of physicality of players in those top sort of 2 divisions, especially, really counts, as well as what they do when they actually trap it and kick out.
This movement is growing, Gus. Nick says Gus could be a remake of Ted Lasso, and John says Gus
Stop
Lasso.
it right now, Vic. Just no. Stop it right now. Not happening.
So all we need from you is a few multi-millionaires to sort of drop on our doorstep, and then you can take over as manager, and away we go. We're off. So as simple as that. Brilliant. Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you, Mr. Hawes, for joining us this evening. I know you've had dental work done today, so we're very grateful to you. I might have some of my own in the very near future. And thank you all very much indeed. Gus, lovely to see you. Rather than the brief appearance of last Monday in the mountains of West Virginia. You might remember that wonderful Laurel and Hardy. Do you remember that Laurel and Hardy song from many years ago? That was just,
Lonesome Pine.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Wonderful.
General
So
Age.
yes, watch it. Have you ever seen that, Gus? Have you seen
No,
that
I
one?
haven't.
You must look it up. It's
I will.
very, very good. Yes. So there you are, Chris. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Phil. There you are, Chris.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Vic. We will be back next Monday after the Forest Green game. But until then, don't forget your memberships, because season ticket holders are no longer automatically members. Your match day subscriptions, and for the Junior Reds, your packs will be ready for the first game of next season, and there'll be more on that being put out by us and the club. Okay, so have a good week. We'll see people tomorrow against Leyton Orient. I have got all your membership cards done, so if you are due to collect them, I will have them with me tomorrow. So if anybody sees me, just shout, and you can take your membership cards then. Okay, but until then, we will see you all next Monday. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well,